Hey guys and girls, this is Psycho Steve. You're listening to my podcast called Hair Today, Gone Tomorrow. I am very blessed and fortunate to get a chance to sit down and chew the fat. I would call him one of the lords of the strings, Rob Balducci. Good day, sir. How are you?
Hey, how you doing? Thanks so much for having me on.
My pleasure. It's an honor to have you. I've been a fan, as many other people are fans of yours. I got an opportunity to see you quite a few times, and we have to thank Michael Smith that helped me facilitate this to get in touch with you. So, he is definitely a part of this, and we have a lot of mutual friends, because even though the music industry is huge, the circle is kind of small, because we do know a lot of the same people that you might have collaborated with or just know because you've been on the scene. Not as long as me, because I'm older than Methuselah. I think I DJ'd Jesus' bar mitzvah, but you get the gist.
Yeah.
So let's jump right into it. So,
okay.
New album. Are we promoting a new album?
Well, I don't have a brand new album out yet. I'm actually working on my follow-up to my last record, which was called H21 Monroe Drive. So I'm recording it myself, and it takes some time because the creative process is not something that you could rush. So I've been working on it for a while.
Right on.
But it's like with all my stuff, it's very inspired, related personally to what's going on in my life. So, my records usually tend to I'm not like an artist that puts out a record a year and puts out the same record. I usually take a break between each record so I can kind of get the inspiration, and this way the record kind of doesn't sound the same. They sound different. My playing has changed. My songwriting has gotten better. So, this record's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully it'll be out later in the year.
Sweet. Now, you said that you played on it. Did you play every instrument, or did you just play guitar on it?
Well, I'm playing guitar on it, but I'm recording it. This is the second record that I'm recording, like in my home studio.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Right on. All right. So, speaking of instruments, besides guitar, do you play any other instruments?
Well, I dabbled in like piano when I went to music school, and bass guitar, but that's about it. Nothing crazy.
Gotcha. How about anyone in your family musicians besides yourself?
My oldest sister, used to play acoustic guitar. So I have three older sisters. So the oldest one was the one that that's how I sort of got introduced to it. So I saw her playing acoustic guitar, and I she showed me a couple of chords, and then I just kind of took it from there.
Right on. Okay. Now, the acoustic guitar, your first guitar, was it, I guess it was the acoustic guitar that she had, or?
Yeah. The acoustic guitar that she had, I don't have it anymore.
Oh, okay. I was just about to ask you that.
Yeah, but I do have my first electric guitar that my godmother had bought me, which is a Gibson Les Paul. It's called. So it's like anyone that knows Gibson guitars, it's like the wood version of a Les Paul.
Awesome.
And, it's pretty nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you still play it?
Yeah, I try and put it. On every CD, at least, on something.
That's awesome. Nice. Did you do any modifications to it? Different pickups? Or just
that one is straight. That one is straight stock, so it's pretty cool.
That is very awesome. All right. So speaking of guitars and everything, through the years, you figured out, what fits you and everything from trying all different guitars. You happen to be an Ibanez endorsee, correct?
Yeah. It's been a long time. This year is my 26th year endorsed with them.
Awesome. Congratulations. Happy anniversary.
Thanks.
So, okay. But you've had your run-of-the-mill of trying other guitars before, of course, or you do use other guitars besides Ibanez on your albums, and also... Or you just stick with that?
Yeah, I've been an Ibanez guy since I'm young. So I got that guitar. The only other guitar that I have that's not an Ibanez is that first guitar that my aunt bought me. Everything else is an Ibanez guitar. So I use it to record with, and everything.
Wow. So now that's pretty awesome. So did they approach you, or did you go to them when it came to endorsements?
Yeah, listen, it used to be, the industry has changed, as you know, so much. So, now when I got my endorsement, it was a totally different arena than it is now. But, like, when basically what happened was, I still talk to the Ibanez rep. His name is Bill Kaminsky. He doesn't work there anymore, but he used to work at Fender, but he's retired now. But he gave me my endorsement, and long story short, I used to work in the record business, so I was at Relativity Records for a while.
Cool.
And a lot of the guitar players on there were endorsed by Ibanez, and Bill Kaminsky happened to be at this Steve Vai show back in like 1991, I think it was, and I met him, and I had back then you had cassettes, so I met Bill, and I gave him the cassette and everything, and I said, I've been playing guitars, and, I'm recording my first record, and I said I would love to, maybe if we could do something together. So he was really nice. He took the cassette, and then, I didn't know if I was going to hear from him, and, he followed up with me, probably a couple of weeks later and said, let's do, we can work with you, So I was like, that's great. So, basically it starts, so, usually endorsements start off at different levels. They start off at when you get a reduced cost on guitars. So that's how it started. And then eventually, they started doing, custom guitars for me.
Awesome. So there is an actual Rob Balducci guitar out there.
Well, it's out there, but it's not released commercially. It's stuff that they've done for me, for one-off.
Oh, okay, cool. So basically it's customized to your specs for you to use, but not for commercialized copy.
Right.
Awesome.
Right.
That's awesome. All right. Speaking of guitarists and everything, I know this is a very cliche question that you get all the time. I could tell by your influences and most of my friends, and I'm like the most non-musical person. I could carry a tune if I carry an iPod, but if but as far as a musician-wise and everything, I could sing, but as far as I'm playing, I really never have. I have a lot of other friends that do play. Who would you say, if you had an opportunity to play with live today that you never played with, either recorded with or played out live with, who would it be?
It would have to be Jeff Beck.
Wow, awesome. We share the same birthday too, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Right on. Okay, how about Dead?
How about what?
How about Dead? Someone that's passed that you haven't gotten a chance to get.
Someone that's passed. Let me think. Well, this is a hard one because it's a toss-up between, I would say it's a toss-up between, Randy Rhoads or Jimi Hendrix, is like crazy. That's a hard one. You got Gary Moore, too, who's amazing.
Right.
I'll have to, I don't know if I can pick one.
Okay, you don't have to.
I'll have to have a jam with all the Dead guys.
So we have to do like a G3 and call it the G3 Taking Dirt Nap Tour or something.
Yeah.
Something like that. Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
If you didn't play music and become the successful musician you are today, what would you be doing? Did you have a backup plan if this didn't pan out?
I didn't have a backup plan. I would think either I would probably be either working at a record company, or to be honest with you, I had this thing that I was always interested in entertainment law, so maybe I would have went into it on that end.
Awesome. Okay. And as far as I know you're a native New Yorker, but do you own a car?
I do. This is a funny thing. My wife and I own a car, but I never had a license.
Wow. Okay. All right. So, what kind of car does she drive?
We have a Toyota Matrix.
Awesome. Carry the gear. Got it. What's in your CD player right now in the car?
CD player in the car is it's probably my wife probably has in one of the Def Leppard records because they come in. She's going to the show.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you heard who took over for Phil for a couple dates, right?
Yes. Yes.
A Jersey boy.
Steve Brown.
Yes.
Yeah, nice guy. Very nice guy. Great player.
Absolutely. Very solid. I'm very impressed. I've been a fan of him since the Trickster days, because when he toured, I'm a Jersey boy. He's a Jersey boy as well. And when they, were playing Jersey dates and at the Birchill and Club A and, a place called Mother's. I'm showing my age now, but whatever. But, all these places, I grew up with him and, PJ and, the rest of the gang of Trickster, and now he's doing that. It's just so surreal, like, wow. So
yeah, it's killer.
Absolutely. So how many hours a day do you practice?
It's weird now. I wish I could. I was practicing more, but now it's more like it's songwriting or working on recorded stuff. Time on the instrument. I also do teach guitar, so I'm doing that. So it's more hands on the guitar. I try and play as much as possible. And usually, what happens, like if I have a shows coming up or something like that, then I kind of get into gear.
Right.
And like I do a workout, the 2 weeks before, and try and make sure that I can play the parts that I wrote.
Right on.
So I kind of do that kind of thing.
Well, here's the thing. Do you actually go back to your archives and, because you have several albums out, and it's hard to remember every single thing that you have recorded or written and everything, because you're writing, for example, you're writing new material, but say you have a tour coming up, it's hard to pick, so certain songs. So do you go back and listen to your CDs again and say, oh, you know what, that song was really good, I'm going to throw that in and, write it down?
Yeah.
And do you have to re-listen to it a couple times to replay it again?
Definitely. Especially, especially a lot of times with my stuff is it's kind of improvised at the moment of its recording, so I try and take stuff that's spontaneous. To be honest with you, when I'm done with a new record, I have to go back and relearn what I did because it was sort of off the cuff. So I definitely have to go back and revisit stuff, and and I'm not the type of guy that feels that everything has to be exactly the same from the studio to the live situation. To me, I'm the type of guy that I'd rather see a band who sound different live, because then you can just put on the CD what's the use of seeing them live, right?
Sure.
So, my CDs usually have a lot of stuff on it. I put a lot of guitar tracks on it. I put some keyboard. I put other things. And live, I'm just a trio. So I come from the school some of, the heroes, my heroes, Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin, they had so much stuff in the recording, but when it was live, it was a trio. So live, to me, is a different experience, and you got to make it work a different way, and I think that's what keeps it fresh and exciting.
Absolutely. And also, if you do keep to, like you said before, if you do keep to playing the same way the album is, it's kind of, I wouldn't say boring. I guess it is kind of cliche. Yeah. I personally want to see, especially with your talent and other musicians, similar talent. Like, for example, I went to go see Sons of Apollo a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And
I saw those pictures. Yeah, nice.
I was like, holy cow. Because, of course, they, kept the pretty much very similar, but, of course, then Ron went on a little tangent, and then Billy, they all did a little spin off of the album to make it sound like it was the album, but then they also put a little spin on it to make it a little different, which was really cool. They tweaked it a little, I guess you could say, which I like.
Right.
And Dream Theater does the same thing. They'll play for hours and everything. One song, you could go to the bathroom, go get something to eat, and come back, and they'll still be on the same song. But they make it, that's a great thing. If I ever did live radio, all I have to do is I just put on 2 Dream Theater songs if I really, because I've been drinking a lot of water and I've been blessed with my grandmother's bladder. I'm just like, you know what? This is great. I could go to the bathroom while I play a Dream Theater song. Hold that thought, people, So, but yeah, I like when they do a little, and when you do something similar, but you also put your own spin on it, even though it was your original song. So I totally, I feel it on that. So speaking of playing and everything, your fingers ever hurt after playing a show?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I think what happens, I've been noticing this with some other, guitar players, professional guys, that there's a lot of guys do end up getting hand problems over the years. It's like with anything else, though. I mean, it's more like what's called, I think most guitar players, after you're playing a certain time, you get like a repetitive motion type of thing, and if you play right-handed, your left hand, the fret hand, the thumb, and sometimes the wrist. So I mean, it's more something like that than the actual fingers. And there's also a lot of guitar players, from anywhere from, I think, Eddie Van Halen to, I think, I can't think of the actual names, but a lot of guys have lower back issues because, you're always a lot of times you're leaning towards the left.
Right.
So it's a posture thing. So, I mean, after playing a long time, you do get certain things.
Gotcha. And any advice to people that are playing now, as far as, do you do like an exercise that will prevent that, or?
Well, it's always good to warm up. I mean, you gotta warm up, stretch. It's almost like you're like when you go to the gym. You're not going to jump into the gym and start,
right.
doing your stuff. You want to stretch. So I think it's the same thing with guitar. Make sure that you stretch, and also you gotta check your posture. Really affects everything going out into your limbs. So the thing is, I had some like a real serious thumb thing, and I had this guy. I went to this guy, and the guy said, "Yeah, you should go see this chiropractor who deals with musicians." So this guy actually came down to a couple of my shows to watch me play. And, he made some suggestions, just like, everyone wants to be like, the cool rock look and have the strap, like, hanging at their knees. But to be honest with you, it's not the best thing. So he kind of made some suggestions on where the guitar maybe should be a little bit higher. Not like the Beatles, but a little bit higher so that your posture is better and you won't be in as much pain. So, I listened to him, and it's definitely been better.
Awesome. Well, I noticed that it's really important because, you have to be in some form of shape because, let's face it, bass, guitar, they're not heavy, they're not light instruments. It's not like, you're just playing a log that weighs anywhere from, say, 8 to 20 pounds, depending on what type of guitar or bass you're playing,
Right.
So I totally get that. And also, I've seen you play, and other people will agree, you're not just standing still. You're interacting
right.
and everything with your other musicians on your stage, but you're also interacting with the crowd. That's hard to do. I had a talk with Britney Spears. I met her years ago when I was working at K-Rock and everything, and she was dating, at the time, Justin Timberlake, and I asked her why she lip syncs during her show, and she's like, well, it's really hard to dance and do the choreographic that I do and sing and everything. I'm like, well, what about, Gene Simmons or Paul Stanley? They wear boots higher than you, wear more makeup than you, carrying a bass or a guitar and sing, and you don't see them lip syncing. I don't get it. It's just really interesting. So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. So, do you expect on this new album, as far as is there any special guests on this album that you're bringing on?
I'm not. I don't have anything in particular planned. I'm kind of working it as each song goes by to think, whether I want something different on it. I actually was talking with a friend of mine, a very talented violin player. Her name is Christy Craig. Okay. And so I was thinking about maybe putting an electric violin on something, one of the tunes that I have. Right now, that's all I can think at the moment.
Awesome. You've done your decent amount of touring and playing with other musicians. Besides the band members that are in your current band, like, who are you friends with as far as in well-known musicians that we know that you could call up and say, hey, you know, like, for example, you mentioned Steve Vai, you mentioned Greg Howe, you've mentioned other people, everything. Is there a person that you can, like, say, hey, you're in the area, why don't we get a cup of coffee and let's hang out, or let's jam? Is there anyone that you can...
Well, you know, it's weird. You know, especially people not living in the same area. You know, Dave Wiener would be one of those guys. I mean, I'd like to say that I'm pretty good friends with Richie Kotzen.
Sweet.
You know, that was probably one of my favorite tours that I did was playing my band opening up for his band. I mean, trying to think who else. You know, there's I have to say I'm friends with him. Andy Timmons, you know, but it's weird, you know. He's in Texas, I'm here. Richie's in LA, I'm here. So usually everyone's working, so it's very hard to try and get together. But I would love to, but everyone's busy.
Gotcha. So we need to make this happen.
Good. Busy's good. Yeah.
That is good. So, all right. Do you wear earplugs or any form of ear protection?
Yeah. I wear earplugs. I can't play without earplugs now. So I definitely recommend either when you're listening to music or when you're playing music to wear earplugs. I don't have like anything special. A buddy of mine and his girlfriend keep telling me to, like, she works for a hearing thing and she wants me to get custom ones done. So I haven't gone that far yet. But I'm using these ones that, you know, they have filters in them that block out a certain amount of sounds. Right. And, you know, it's definitely, you know, so a lot of people say, oh, I can't get, guys that don't use that, can't get used to playing with it. It's really just getting, once you do it a couple of times, you get used to it. And, you know, there's so many players out there, you know, that guitar players that have problems with hearing. I mean, like Paul Gilbert from Mr. Big has hearing damage. You know, these are the bigger names, you know, Pete Townsend. I mean, and there's a bunch of people that we just don't know about, but it does damage it, so you really should watch it. Gotcha.
Is that why Paul wears those headphones?
Yeah.
Interesting. I honestly thought it was just, you know, keep time or whatever, or he's actually listening to his own music or listening to sports radio or something. I wasn't sure. All right. Cool. All right. A couple more questions because I know you're pretty busy today. So, native New Yorker, are you a Yankees fan or a Mets fan?
Well, I'm like the cliche musician that's not into sports, but if I had to pick between the two teams, it would be the Yankees.
All right, good. We'll keep interviewing you then and start promoting you. All right, good answer. All right. Now, you said about warm up during your before your show and everything. Do you have anything on your rider? Do you remember the whole brown M&Ms thing with Van Halen? Here's the thing. On your rider, is there a specific thing that you need to have at every show before you do your show?
I like, here's a couple of things. I like, if I'm going to drink beer, it's got to be light beer. I like red wine, and I always ask for like an orange juice.
Interesting. Okay. Right on.
Yeah.
All right. Now, we know you're Italian. Do you speak it?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right. Nothing wrong with that. All right.
Yeah, it was like that was the secret language my parents spoke to each other, so I didn't know what was going on.
I understand. I speak Yiddish to my grandmother. She just turned 100, and I'll speak to her, and my parents have no clue what we're saying. So that's pretty awesome. I speak 4 languages fluently, and I'm also trying to kind of teach one of my sons a language because my ex-wife thinks if she adds an O to everything, she's speaking Spanish. So I'm thinking maybe going the Spanish route. So it's pretty awesome. Yeah. All right. A couple more questions, like I said.
Sure.
All right. Since you're Italian, I have to ask, pasta, do we call it gravy, or do we call it ragu, or sauce?
I call it sauce.
Okay. I'm taking a poll here. Everybody I interview that's Italian, I have to ask. Because some people have said it's, like one person said it's ragu, a couple people said it's gravy. You're like the third person so far has said it's sauce. Okay. All right. Now, acoustic guitars. Ibanez makes an acoustic guitar. And you use their Ibanez acoustic as well. Do you see the differences as far as in the feel? Because, look, you go out to any of the guitar stores like Guitar Center or when Manny's was around, Sam Ash and everything. I'm sure you walk in just like any consumer. You pick up a guitar just to feel it and everything. Is there a real difference from the ones, of course, they made for you custom, of course? Did it made an acoustic custom for you as well? Or just the electric?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just the electric.
Gotcha. All right. And then how about strings? Do you use a certain type of string?
Yeah. I've been using Guitarist strings. Again, another, my first endorsement that I ever had. I've been with them since 1990.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm a loyal musician type of guy. Like, I call them, I hope I probably can say this. I mean, I call them endorsement whores. So there's like, whatever you are in the music industry, there's people that just want to get free stuff all the time and get with different companies. And I'm not like that. I'm kind of like, I use what I use. I'd be using it even if I wasn't endorsed with the company, so getting the endorsement is icing on the cake. So, I mean, again, Guitarist strings, DiMarzio pickups, Ibanez guitars, Morley wah pedals, all these companies been with them over 20 years.
Nice. What kind of picks do you use?
I've recently been using these picks. They're really cool. It's a guy that makes them in the UK, and they're called Hawk picks.
Okay.
And they're really nice, custom, makes them, each one is like handmade, and they're really, really nice with some really cool colors, purple and green, like celluloid. Really nice stuff, and they sound great.
Awesome. Very cool. We can expect the new album to be out probably, what would you say?
Hopefully this year.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So, like I said, I know you're quite busy today. What could you tell us, and for aspiring musicians of today, what would you give them as far as an advice? Like, if you had to tell them, what should they do to become successful as you have become successful?
I think it's a couple of important things. Is you gotta practice, you gotta focus, and you have to complete things, set goals, and complete them. It's a hard thing to do because you could say you're going to do anything, and then if you kind of start something and don't finish it, you're never going to see it to fruition. So you gotta make sure you set the goal, complete it, and then keep moving. And don't get discouraged by by rejection or people making comments, because the way this stuff is now, you put something on, anyone can put something on the internet. You can be an amazing player and you're going to get some trolls saying something bad, so you can't really pay attention to that. And, really, kind of try and, I would say, this is a hard thing to say. A lot of people don't like to hear it, but I mean, try not to, I'm not big into, learning other people's cover material. A lot of people, when they first start taking lessons, they want to learn, I want to learn this song, I want to learn that song. I think it's more important to learn the basics of music and stuff like that and start writing songs as quickly as possible.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for the positive message. A PSA from Mr. Balducci himself. Awesome. All right. So, time for you to plug.
I'd like to promote my website, robbalducci.com. People interested in taking lessons, you can get in touch with me through there. I do Skype lessons. I do in-person lessons. I'd also like to promote I'm working with Ibanez Guitars, and they have a new guitar out now. It's called the AZ Prestige model and AZ Premium models, and that's what I've been using at my shows. So they're really cool guitars. Check it out, and you can check out me on the internet. You can see a lot of times me playing and doing some demos and stuff, that kind of thing.
Awesome. So you do have your social media. You have Rob Balducci on Facebook. We have an Instagram, and you are on Twitter. Yeah. So you guys and girls,
also,
please plug away.
Yeah. Also, when I first joined Facebook, we all knew we didn't realize about the friends thing. 5,000 friends. So there's a Rob Balducci, and there's also the Rob Balducci band. So you can check that out on Facebook as well.
Sweet. And when the new album, could we have you come back on to promote it?
Oh, yeah. I would love to.
Awesome. And then you can send me some MP3s, and I'll definitely start playing it and, turning it up to 11 and let people know what you're up to and, what we can expect from the near future. So on behalf of myself, my producer, my family, the fans, thank you very, very much. I very much appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, man.
Bye-bye.
Take care.